Hello YouTube. In the last video we were working on a HP Victus with no power. The fault turned out to be a dead PCH, which unfortunately is bonded to the CPU. So we attempted to replace and upgrade the i5 CPU to an i7 from a random unknown donor board that I've had knocking around for a couple years. Now we got the CPU fitted and it still didn't power on, so we're going to try it again, this time with this Lenovo board. I'm going to get it on the ThermoPro rework station. Because it's a Lenovo board, it's got black epoxy under the CPU, which is going to make it really hard to remove. But on the ThermoPro, we have pretty good manual control and a decent amount of space around it to get a blade under there and carefully wrench the CPU off the board. This board is entirely a donor, so we don't care how the PCB ends up, just as long as we don't damage the CPU. Now this board I bought knowing it has a good CPU, so it has USB-C issues. I could probably fix this board and sell this board, but where's the fun in that? I would like to see if I can take that CPU, put it on the HP Victus, and see if I can get that machine up and running again. There's not many places for support studs on this. Oh well, it's a donor. As I say, I don't care how this PCB ends up, just as long as the CPU comes off cleanly. Now I'm gonna find a underfill removal tool. These are used by the iPhone guys to slide under iPhone CPUs and stuff like that. And we're gonna do the same thing here. Make sure all the solder is molten, and once it is, we can just wrench up and get each corner lifted, and we should be able to remove the CPU without doing any damage. Okay, we got the CPU off. Seemed to come off pretty well. We did lose a couple of pads on the PCB, but firstly they look to be not connected, and secondly I really don't care. You can see the black epoxy covering the corners that makes these Lenovo boards so hard to rework. But I've got a little template, nice clean stencil, and from this point you should already know the drill. We're going to remove the residual solder, we're going to remove the epoxy, we're going to add some fresh balls, and we're going to put it on the HP. Wish me luck. Just going to bring in a bit of hot air as well, because I'm using quite a small iron tip. And bringing in a bit of hot air is just going to help things fly. Means I've got the precision of a small iron tip with the thermal mass of a big one. Well, that was weird. A bunch of boxes somewhere just collapsed. Oh well. Got ghosts. Where did I put my stencil? I know I had it. I showed you guys. Man, I think I'm losing my mind. It was right in front of me. Having to replace a CPU twice in a row will do that to you. You start to go a bit loopy. Okay, it's balls time. It's shaking good. And when that doesn't work, we can just push them around. This glove's a little bit sticky from flux. I've been wearing it a while now, so that's picking up as many balls as it's pushing in. Oh, that was way too many. And they're kind of sticky. See how they're still there, even though I've tried to pull them away. What if we use a sponge? Seems to be working. I think that's about as good as we're getting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It could be worse. There's a bit of dirt in that hole, so my ball will not fit. Oh man, a ball must have blown on and merged there. We're gonna have to fix that. I think it was this one. Which ball is bigger than the rest? Yes, this one for sure. These all sit almost under the stencil. This one sits above it. I want to try and remove the bulk of the excess solder before we try and remove the stencil, because if that solder gets caught when we try and remove the stencil, we will rip the pad off the bottom of the CPU. So, definitely worth being aware of that. Okay. I think all the balls are soldered, mostly. So you can see the one down here that I just wicked up a little bit. You can see the one I missed because of dirt. Oh, there's one missing there. A couple up there. A couple down there. Not perfection by any standards. Let's get the rest of that one wicked up. And then we can go around and manually place the rest and give it a quick reflow. Okay, I think that's right, so let's lay down some liquid flux and get all those balls the right shape and size. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Not my finest work, it never is when I'm on camera, but all the balls look the right shape, they all look the right size, and I didn't use too much heat, so there's no reason this shouldn't work. Other than maybe BootGuard firmware or ME. Or, a third reason, we might still have a different problem with the board that I just haven't figured out yet. But we have another CPU to try. I'm going to put this through the ultrasonic cleaner to get rid of the flux, give my desk a quick tidy up, and then we can wick the board and get the CPU fed. Whoops. Yeah, this is not the best dispenser for using to pour alcohol onto your desk. It's the Omen board. It's the Victus board again. And I've already removed the CPU. So now we just need to wick it all up again. I'm going to use the massive lazy iron tip because I'm running out of patience for this. So I'm not going to be too careful. Big iron tip, very quick. Get this wicked up and ready for the CPU. I would recommend, when wicking, you take way more care and patience than I just did. You know what? For a quick pass, this has come up pretty good. Not seeing any major high spots. I'm not seeing any real demasking. Did I miss a tiny little ball there? It seems flat. There's a couple there that could do with a bit of extra. Yeah, there's a bit of touch up I should do. Should do that with a heat gun. Cool. Add some flux, get it on the rework station, put the CPU on it, and get it fitted. Okay, we are back once again, hopefully for the last time. We have the CPU from the Lenovo soldered onto the HP Victus, and this is the CPU is even better than the last one that we were going to put on there. This is an i7 13700H, so it's a bit of a spec bump over the last one. We've gone from an i5 to a quite good i7 now. And being that it's got a new CPU on it, as it should work, let's check the resistances again. The 3-volt rail is 360 ohms. The 1VA5 output is 160 ohms. And the coil up here is 18 ohms. so a little bit higher than before. But I have given the board longer to cool off, and so that can affect resistances. Okay, I guess we got the thermal camera out. You can probably notice my glove has failed on me. That doesn't matter. Let's plug it in and see if we get anything. Hard to say. PCH looks hot. Come on, what's going on? Is this working? Honestly, I can't tell. Nothing's going crazy. Should we check our power rails? See if they're the same as before. 3.3, 5, 1.8, 5, 1.8, 1 VA5, and nothing on CPU voltage. Again. No. No, come on, it can't be. Maybe the last CPU was okay. And the same spots on this PCH are heating up. This kind of sucks. Oh, I was sure this was going to work. But yeah, CPU's not getting hot. PCH is only getting slightly warm. This really is puzzling. Is it BootGuard? Is it the ME region? I guess we should try. Let's take off the BIOS and clean up the ME region. So yeah, cleaning the ME region didn't fix it. The board still doesn't power up, and I've been staring at this board for quite a while. I think it's time to admit defeat. I'm pretty confident that the reason this thing doesn't turn on is due to a BootGuard encryption mismatch. So, I'm no BootGuard expert, but as I understand it, the PCH part of the CPU, which is this little guy here, has some one-time programmable fuses. And upon first power on, these fuses blow. Essentially, this fuses the CPU to an encryption key that's determined by each manufacturer. So the CPU that came off the Lenovo, this is only ever going to work with a Lenovo board that shares the exact same encryption key that this CPU has programmed. So, what I think's happening with this HP is that you try and turn it on, and the BIOS firmware recognizes that there's a mismatch between the PCH and what it expects, and then it doesn't go any further. So that means the only practical way we can fix this is by getting a brand new CPU. A BGA laptop CPU isn't something Intel's going to sell us, so the only real way to get hold of them is to hope some fall off the back of a lorry in China and make their way onto Aliexpress. There are plenty of CPU options on Aliexpress, but we don't know if they're actual new unfused CPUs, and spending £250 on a CPU with an unknown background is pretty risky. The question is, do you think it's a risk I should take? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching. Goodbye.